Hello, this is Quacky of Quack Animations, and today I just thought I'd do a little tutorial for people out there. I've kind of figured out a way to get Blender to recognize your voice and how to control objects with your voice. As you can see, I've got this little duck here, that's my avatar, and she moves her beak when I speak. It is voice controlled. As you can see, there are no corresponding keyframes down here in the dope sheet to the mouth moving. It's just the up and down movement as the duck's bobbing in the water. And if you actually want to see, if I pause it, I'll pause it here and then pull up the key console. If I play it again, here's her mouth is moving, and if I bring the console back, you can see actually the audio measurements that the microphone is taking. It's being recognized by Blender as I speak. When I talk, the numbers go up, and when I'm not talking, the numbers go down. Look, see? There we go. So Blender is seeing the microphone as I go. So what might you use this program for? Obviously for talking, I use this in streams a lot personally. Boys, hold down the fort, I gotta heal. But you could use it for other things. I imagine you could use it for lip syncing characters really quickly without having to fiddle in with the keyframes yourself. You could just speak and then go have the character's mouth move as you're talking. Maybe you want it to where every time there's sound or your voice talking, this cube turns pink. Maybe this poor little monkey is shrinking. Alright, but enough of that foolishness. You're not here for ideas. You are here for a tutorial on how to get your character moving. You've made a character. I've made this little dude just for this video. He's a funky little guy. We are going to animate him to where his mouth will move as I'm talking, just like the duck. He's a brand new little model. I haven't done anything to him. I would like to preface this by saying I'm going to be making this tutorial like this is for complete beginners, because I started out as a complete beginner in doing this, and I'm not entirely sure how much the community knows in coding and things like that in Blender. I certainly don't know a lot. I am not the master, as you probably saw in that previous video. But anyway, let's get into it. So the first thing you're going to do is come to the top left corner. You can split your Blender workspace in two. We're going to do that again. Come down here, and we've got 3 workspaces now. The top one I am going to make into my info tab. This will show us everything that's happening in the internal code of Blender as we do things. For instance, if I go into object mode and grab this guy, move him over, boop, all this code shows up. This is what Blender perceives has happened. I'm going to just Control Z. But this is the code that we'll be working with to tell Blender what to do over here. Over here, I'm going to pull down the text editor, and this is going to be the code that we're writing, that we'll eventually be having running continuously to get our character to talk, or anything else to happen while sound occurs. I'm going to click New, and that opens up a new text file for us to work with. Now, before I start, as I was doing this code, I realized Blender didn't recognize a lot of the packages that comes with Python instantly. I didn't recognize things like PyAudio, time. I'm not sure if it knew NumPy as well. This might just be my computer or my version of Blender. I'm using Blender 4.2.0. This might get patched out later. Anyway, I found out a workaround, but everyone might not have to use it. If your computer recognizes these packages in Blender, then you're all good to go and you can skip this step. But for everyone else, I'm going to show how I got around this problem. So I will have posted this code in the description of the YouTube video or elsewhere if I am not able to. The top 2 lines of code are what we're going to be using, and all these codes are to get Blender to recognize the packages. First thing we're going to do is take the top 2 lines, the import pip line and the pip.main line, and we're just going to paste it right into our text file right there. Boom. Blender will run the code when we hit this little play button. I'm going to pull up the system console. I went to Window, toggle system console. That just closed it, so let me open it again. Here it is. I'm going to take up the left side of the screen just so we can see what's going on over here. And if I hit play, also if your top bar gets hidden away, you can just scroll. I'm going to hit play. And boom, we got some code running. There we go. We're all good. What we're looking for is this c.users togi blah blah blah. This is all me. This is my location of Blender. This is where it is. So I can copy this if I would like to. It'd be great. That's what I will be doing. We now delete this line from our code. We're gonna just keep this in our pocket. I'm gonna come over to the code that I will have posted in the description. And you can just go ahead and copy all of it. This is where everyone else can follow along now. Well, almost. We're almost done with our getting Blender to recognize things. So we come over here, and we're going to go to C. You'll see like your name, Python 311, and then scripts. You want that. I'm gonna copy it. I think that copied it. Let me do it again. Control C. I guess I copied it. And then I've left this packages underscore path equals blank. You're just gonna control V. Boom. Looks cool. Oh, correct. You have to put quotation marks around it. All right, so I was forgetting a few steps. So it is actually the double parentheses things. I forget what double quotation marks. It is double quotation marks. You are going to have to add extra backspaces. I know, I'm sorry. Just add an extra backspace every place that there's a backspace in this code. And then I've updated the code. I forgot this little bit right here. You're gonna need this plus quotation mark slash dot dot. You need this little tiny bit of code that I forgot about. It'll be in the YouTube description when you get there. Just paste it on after everything that you found from the console. Now your code's pretty much ready to go. I'm just gonna read over the code so we get an idea, and then we'll start working on this guy. This is a little setup. This is mainly for Pi audio. We're gonna get channels 1. That's because I only have one microphone. 32-bit floating point. I wrote everything down here. Input true, capture microphone audio. If you don't have a microphone, say you're like trying to use a guitar or something, or like a keyboard, a MIDI kind of thing, you're gonna have to look into Pi audio. But for everyone using microphone, this should be good. I just named it Speaking Puppet. I don't know. If you're looking for it in your code, you might see Speaking Puppet. Here we get into the actual meat and potatoes of our code. Here I'm saying, and you might want to change this if you have different intentions from me. If event, type in right mouse or escape, return canceled. So this means every time you hit the right mouse button or the escape key, your code will stop running. I also did it over here in case you've really messed up your code. There's another way to kill the code because there's a difference between canceled and finished. So if you hit the left mouse button, it's gonna end the code. You might be like, hey, you're getting rid of my left mouse button. You won't be able to do anything while the microphone's running, so don't worry about it. Over here, this is more Pi audio stuff. We've got how many times it reads the microphone data. You can look at this frequency spectrum if you're interested in that. Maybe you want like certain pitches to be recognized. I believe I put over here, like we have the hertz, which can help you with, again, frequencies and things like that. Whatever you want to do with your code. Maybe at high pitches, you want something to happen over here, or at low pitches, you want something to happen over here. It's available for you. This is a little bit of code that I run. So volume is a compilation of all the data points that the microphone reads. It sums it up together, sums the absolute value up together. Volume. I'm gonna go into it right now. So yeah, this should be fine. Nah, we'll go into it later. We'll go into it later. It won't hurt us right now. It'll hurt us later. So I left in the original code that I used for my duck just to give you some ideas, but we're gonna delete them right here. We're in the hashtag do actions here part of the code. I'm just gonna delete them. This is where we will be doing the code for the bear. This first line, some audio if it's greater than volume, so anything louder than 100 will happen here. Elif, some audio less than volume, anything lower than 100 will happen here. Simple stuff, returning modal, that means it's running. I put in this little bit of code, just like if you've completely messed up the code, it'll flash these little lines here and you'll be able to see that your code is running or not. And then you need to keep these in to make sure that Blender recognizes that it's code that it is to run. Alright, so we've got the jaw. we are going to use something for this animation style called shape keys. Not everyone knows what shape keys are. They are very useful in animation. You can move an object like this. This is very useful. But what if you actually want to morph the shape of the object? Maybe when he speaks, his tongue moves around, but the tongue is already in an object. That might be a bad example. Maybe you want his hands to close, but I don't want to put bones in there. You can go into edit mode and actually move the vertices of an object around and assign those to shape keys. Shape keys go from a value of 0 to 1. So maybe when the hand's open, that's that value of 0, and when the hand is closed, that's a value of 1. And you basically made an object look like it has bones. It can move around with a shape key, and you haven't added bones to the character at all. Shape keys are also nice because it's mathematical, it's numerical, which the code really likes. Doing this, oh, look at all that code. I don't know where to start with that. But a shape key, that's just a value from 0 to 1. I can code that really easily. Alright, so we've got our little guy. I went ahead and moved his mouth into a closed position while y'all weren't looking. I went ahead and moved his mouth into the closed position. This is just so I can visualize it better, but let's just say his mouth is closed at 0. This is what I want to be the basis. This is his natural position. So I'm going to go into the shape key area. It's right under the vertex groups in the data tab, and I'm going to click this little plus button. Boom, we've got a basis now. This is the basis of our character. This is what most of them will be going back to when you set them to 0. I'm going to press plus again and get key 1. For key 1, I'm going to go into edit mode, grab everything that I want to move. Again, shape keys are incredibly useful. If it was a hand, I would just grab the fingers that I want to curl in. If I wanted to move his tongue around, I would just grab his tongue. But I want the whole jaw to move. I've got the whole jaw. I go into the orthographic view, and I'm just going to rotate it down about to where I think his mouth should open all the way. Let's see. When I tabbed back into object mode, it goes back to the basis. This is because he only looks like his mouth is open when this shape key is equal to 1. This is how shape keys work. I can mess around in edit mode, but the object itself is unchanged. This is about how open I want his mouth to be, so I'm going to say, awesome, that's a good shape key. Now when I come over here, the shape key's value is 0, but when I press and drag along it, his shape key value increases up to 1, which is the max, and this is how wide his mouth will open. If we look over here, this is exactly what I said. The shape key value is 1. This is so much better than all this ugly code up here, right? Just this one little dot right there. One little line. Put it at 1. Put it at 0.7. Put it at 0.4. That code is so much simpler and easier for us to visualize. So now I got a little guy whose mouth can move. Shape keys are awesome. We've been making this code, and we are just going to copy it over. Again, this is what Blender is seeing, and paste it up here. So we've got some audio greater than or equal to volume. This is what's going to happen in the code when the sounds that are coming out of my mouth and getting recorded by the microphone are louder than the volume. I want his mouth to open, so I would choose, say, volume 1, right? Control C, Control V. And when his mouth is closed, that should happen when there is no loud sounds being read by the microphone that are louder than volume. So I'm just going to choose 0 and paste it in right there. All right, our code is perfect now. I'm going to test it out running. I know this is goofy, but I'm trying to prove a point. So to check if your code works, you just get it running, get the scene running. If your character is moving around, they'll bounce around. The shape key won't interfere with that. And hit play on the code. And hey, when I talk, his mouth opens, and when I'm not talking, his mouth closes. That's perfect. But it doesn't look that good. I know this is goofy. I just wanted to demonstrate if you had something that blinked or simply came on and off. Maybe you had like a robotic character. This would be perfect for you. Maybe you just want a light to flash every time you talk. This is about where you would stop. But for everyone else, this doesn't look really good. Our little guy's mouth isn't smooth. This is an easy fix though. I'm just press anywhere and it pauses. It pauses wherever you left the body. That's okay. This is a shape key. I can just close it going to my shape key thing. pause the video. I don't want it to keep scrolling by. So we don't want it to just flip-flop between two values, 1 and 0. I'm gonna look at his mouth and be like, 0.2 is cool, right? This is like half, this is like a little open, and then 0.4 would be more open, 0.6 would be more open. So I'm gonna say, for a rough estimate, that we want his mouth to open by 0.2 every time. So I come over here into the sum audio area, and instead of equaling just 1, I'm going to do plus equal 0.2. So now every time that the microphone picks up audio that is louder than volume, it will add 0.2 to the value of the shape key. Similarly, I want it to subtract equal sign 0.2 every time there is not sound that is louder than audio. You don't have to mess with the shape key, it's totally cool. We'll hit play and play again. And look at him go! Now his mouth moves around in a much more smooth fashion. I'm talking kind of slow so we can see it. But you might be like, this isn't fast enough. If you want it to be faster or slower, you just simply change these values. Maybe make it, I have it as 4 on my deck. So let's see how 4 looks on this big guy. How's 4 look on you, buddy? Roar. Roar. See, it's still a little bit quicker, but it's better than just jumping back and forth between open and closed. It looks fine on the duck, but let's actually make it like 3 opening and 4 closing. Let's see. No, let's do like 2-5 opening, 3 closing. Let's see how that looks. Rawr, rawr, rawr. Rawr, rawr. Yeah, that's a cool little bear. Alright, so now that we've got our code working, you on your end might notice that something's not being picked up. Maybe your microphone isn't as sensitive as you like it to be. This is where we would start messing around with the volume. If we look over back in that system console, we love you system console, you can see the numbers go up when I'm speaking, and when I'm talking, I'm kind of loud. I go up next to the mic a lot, and every time I talk, I'm seeing numbers like 150, 200, 300, 159, 149. So I arbitrarily chose volume to be 100. Because when I'm not talking, like right there, the loudest my room gets is about like 30. In your house, in your microphone, in your voice, it might be generating different volume numbers. You're going to want to look at this console and make sure that the volume you've set your project to matches what you're actually generating on the fly. But this is the code. We've got it working. We got our little guy talking. This is awesome. Yeah, this is cool. We got a little guy talking. Oh, before I go, let me just show you this one little bug. You might be wondering, hey, you're talking and the little guy's mouth is moving, but when I move the mouse, this guy's mouth is moving. That's because the code is tied to what Blender is seeing, not like your whole computer, it's Blender. So while the mouse is moving, Blender is recording everything that's happening. It's recording every movement of your mouse. When the mouse isn't moving, there's nothing actually happening in Blender. I get around this by pressing the play button. Now something is happening every moment in Blender. It's checking to see if there are any keyframes. You know, I mean, there aren't any keyframes, but our code is running. And that's how we get the code running smoothly. Nice. But yeah, thanks for checking out my video. I hope you've enjoyed this little tutorial. I hope you'll try this out on your next projects. And I really hope people will improve and iterate on this weird little code that I've made. I'd like to see more people using this. Share ideas, tell me how I could do it better. Maybe you'll leave a comment with an improvement on the code. Maybe you'll run into bug fixes and throw them down in the comments section for other people to use. And if anyone makes a better version of this code, please share it with me. I am desperate. I spent like weeks working on this because I'm not very good at coding. But if people like this, I'll post any more weird code tutorials if I make some more. Thanks for watching. Bye bye. Well, hello there.